Hi, it's Lenny Soloro. I am the Director of Recreation and Community Services for the Township of Plainsboro. Okay, so in the very beginning, we were all systems go at the beginning of when everything was January, February, March. We were going all systems go on that. We were going to have our normal summer because we just felt as a staff that it would be easier to peel back if we had to than try to move forward, especially with summer camp. With summer camp and our preschool camp are probably our biggest programs of the year. You know, we have about 150 to 160 children at our full day camp and about 30 to 40 at our pre-K camp every day. So it was just a little easier to just go full bore, try to hire the full staff as if we were going to go. And then again, like I said, we'd be able to peel back if the guidelines were such that we just didn't think we would be able to, or we felt that the liability was just too much of a risk. So we were waiting for the state to come up with guidelines for summer camp and programming, that kind of, and it got to a point where we had to come up with a date that if we don't have guidelines by X, we may have to fold up tent for our summer programs. So that's what we did. So on a Zoom call, as a staff meeting, we decided as a staff that we were going to just fold everything up on the same day. And in lieu of people going to our site to register for a program, there would be a letter from myself telling them that because of the pandemic and with the safety of our residents of the utmost importance, the health and safety of our residents, that have no fear, the staff is hard at work, and we will repost what our alternate programming will be. We called it Plan B programming on June 8th. So we wanted the residents to know that we were still wanted to be engaged with them, we were still here for them, we were still working for them, but because of the safety and health, and we didn't know if we'd be able to provide that with in-person programming or the programming that we've always been able to give them every summer, at that point we just closed up shop. So when you went to register for one of our programs for the summer, you saw this letter. And let me tell you, the staff took that challenge and ran with it, and I could not be more proud. I had calls from all over the state of New Jersey, because a lot of the recreation directors in the state, the New Jersey Recreation and Parks Association members, we all shared information because there is strength in numbers. So if you know one of your neighboring towns is doing something, you may want to follow suit, so that we were consistent in our message as recreators in the state. So the staff did a phenomenal job with our alternate programming. So we are doing some summer program that is virtual. We do have some family type programs that will be outside, and I'll list them in a second. We also got in touch with third-party providers that already had a virtual model for their program, so we didn't have to reinvent anything. So we're using third-party providers for some of our other programming. If you go to the recreation page and you looked at our summer brochure, you would not think that we are doing anything that we haven't ever done. There's all kinds of offerings in there. Some of the in-person stuff that we are doing is we had a drive-in movie where we had it over at Queenship Mary Church. And we partnered with Princeton Alliance Church to provide goodies for everybody. The name of the movie was Playing with Fire, starring John Cena, who's a close personal friend of mine. I tell people that all the time. And we had 60 spots, and we sold out within 3 hours. So people are looking to do things, especially family type things, especially outside of their own houses. That was one. We also just did a Where's Elsie scavenger hunt, where we posted pictures of Elsie in different parks and different locations and landmarks throughout the town. And we had 40 families register for that. They went around and they had to take pictures of themselves standing in front of the pictures of Elsie. And then their award was a s'mores kit. So one of our program coordinators, Cheryl Bonavolanta, was her idea to do this scavenger hunt, and she did a great job with it, and she went ahead and was delivering some of these s'more kits to the family. So trying to think that we're doing a friendship bracelet day at Community Park, obviously with social distancing and masks, but we'll be doing it at the pavilion at Community Park. And it's actually on Friendship Day that people are been invited to come and make friendship bracelets. So trying to do things outside where they say that the transmission is a lot lower than indoor activities. We're also doing some unique type things like especially during the quarantine period, Craig Harley, who is our senior park ranger, along with Princeton, Penn Medicine, Princeton Health, we did Mental Health Mondays, and we posted that on our Facebook page. So with people being, with the uncertainty of the virus and the anxiety that people had built up, we did these Mental Health Mondays where they would give you ways to cope with your anxieties and the stress during this period. So every Monday, they would post a new version of Mental Health Monday. So we're trying to be a little creative, think a little bit out of the box, but also try to meet the needs of the people while they're dealing with this pandemic. And I can't believe I just used that word because I'm tired of that word. The pandemic and the Zoom meetings. I think we're all pretty much, we can't wait till we get back to some type of normalcy. So the next drive-in movie will be at Queen Ship Mary Church as well on Friday night, August 14th. We will start taking registration on August 10th. Go to the website because it did fill up in 3 hours last time. Go to our website, www.plainsboronj.com, and go to the Recreation Community Services page, and you'll be able to register for that drive-in movie. Other programs that we have coming up will also be, we have a trip to Wildwood. So it's interesting because we will be social distancing on the bus. And we normally do this, and we normally are able to take 55 people on the bus. But because of the guidelines, there's only 25% capacity. So that's another one that you need to sign up for pretty quickly if you would like to take a trip down to Wildwood. But there will be social distancing, masks required. Yeah, so I mean, we're staying busy throughout the summer. And again, we're trying to zero in on people. Even the museum is open as well. Kate just had over at the museum a Civil War reenactment on Sunday. Which was really cool. And we had about, throughout the day, they did about 4 or 5 different skits. So, to allow not big gathering over on the grounds of the Wyckoff House. Nobody was allowed inside, though. Yeah, so our parks, just like the rest of New Jersey, and our outside playgrounds and that have followed suit with all the guidelines and executive orders of the state of New Jersey. So as the state has opened up, we have opened up a lot of our outdoor facilities. For instance, our tennis courts are open. When you do get to our tennis courts, though, you do have to read the signs. They're also online to safe guidance, safe distancing, and all the like. Our dog park is also open. And again, and the thing about the dog park is because you can't leave the gate open, we do tell people before they go in to sanitize their hands, open the gate. When you lock the gate behind you, sanitize your hands again. Because that's a hot spot, any of the high touch areas. Same thing with the tennis court. You have to unlatch, walk in before you touch when you get on the other side, when you come back out. So the hand sanitizer is definitely one, especially in the outdoor parks. Same thing with our playgrounds. Our playgrounds are open. They were one of the last things that the governor did open, but our playgrounds are open. Again, we ask people to social distance when they're out there. If you get to a playground and the playground is crowded, just wait your turn. Don't overcrowd the playground. Either wait your turn. Again, before you go to a high touch area like a playground, hand sanitize before you go, hand sanitize after you leave the playground. So, just try to stay safe. Our ball fields are open. We are giving out permits, but we do have an addendum that if it is a league play, that they have to, by governor's executive order, they have to take temperature of all their players when they get there, and they have to fill out a health questionnaire. And the health questionnaire is like 4 or 5 very, very simple questions. Have you been sick in the last 24 hours? Has anybody in your family been sick in the last 24 hours? So they have to have this just so that they cover themselves and cover us for any liability. So our ball fields are open. Our sand volleyball court is open. The nature preserve is open. The walking trails are open. They were open during the quarantine period. And people did get into some bad habits. So I do try to remind people that there's no bikes on the trails. There's no fishing at the preserve. We want to enjoy the preserve, but we want it to be in pristine for everybody. So people did get into some bad habits when we weren't out there. And on that fact, we've also hired, because the parks are open and there are more people in the parks now, we've hired what we are calling social ambassadors. So our social ambassadors are roaming the park. They're like a supplement to our park ranger division, because the rangers can't be everywhere. And they're basically to engage in people, to let them know to safe distance, 6 feet apart, wear your mask when you're in the park. It's not a confrontational thing. It's not a patrol. That's why we're calling them ambassadors. They're just trying to re-engage, and while they're out there, they can tell people about our programming while they engage them. So that's worked out really, really well. And for the most part, I will tell you that I'm proud to say that Plainsboro, the people in the parks are definitely adhering to the guidelines. There was not a lot of pushback. People are wearing their masks, they're staying safe distance away, so that's good to know. And the social ambassadors have really worked out for us. Sure. So just as in the summer, we're working, but at least now we have a little bit more information. So what we're doing with our fall programming is trying to offer our fall program, but with the option. It's like a hybrid model. I think the Board of Education's, a lot of us are doing it. People who are comfortable coming in person. Obviously, you could see in the room here, we have X's on the ground, 6 feet apart. People will be required to wear masks if they're going to take the in-person version. But we're also offering people a virtual version. So all of our instructors will be videotaped via Zoom. So people can either sign up for the in-person model, but they'll be taking the same exact class if they're going to take it from home. So you can check out our full programming. I believe that we will have it up on our site by August 10th. You'll be able to register for programs starting August 24th. And right before that August 24th date, normally the township sends out their full newsletter, so people will be getting it in their mailbox. And just look for the recreation pamphlet that's inside the Plainsboro newsletter that goes out. Yeah, so we reached out, Tina Preville, who's our senior enrichment program person, has stayed in constant contact with them, just to make sure that they know that we're here for them. And we have offered, through the expertise of our staff, to teach them how to use our virtual models. Teach them how to use Zoom. So they have been engaged, they have been signing up for our virtual programming. And anybody who couldn't, they were calling in here, they would come in here and we would social distance away, and we would give them a tutorial on how to use the Zoom so that they could take part in our programming. Also, what Tina did is, we normally have a senior barbecue every July. So in lieu of that, we had a drive-by barbecue. We bought all the meals. We had them here. We put a tent outside, and they drove in and they picked up their meal. And the meals that couldn't be picked up, we had the Plainsboro Police Department, which, if I got a chance right now, shout out to Plainsboro Police Department, working with our department. I know you're going to be speaking to Eram. They have worked with our food pantry famously, but even in that instance, they were able to deliver the meals for people who couldn't get here. So we had our senior barbecue, but it was a drive-through version. So that's the way we're trying to stay engaged. Again, in the fall, we're going to offer them, if they want to come in person, we're going to offer them that, because I think some of them do want to get out of their houses. And that's all, again, subject to change. If guidelines change, we'll have to roll with the punches. And at least the staff, unfortunately, we're used to rolling with the punches at this point. So nothing's a definite, as we all know. So the best way is either the website, again, www.plainsboronj.com, and go to the Recreation Community Services page. We have our own page. Or something new that the staff has put together is our own Facebook page. So you can reach us on Facebook at Recreation and Community Services, Plainsboro Recreation and Community Services through Facebook. And that's updated more regularly, but for real in-depth information, it is the website.